This is going to be a quick overview of the history between the rivalry between the English and the French. So let's start with a brief history of both of these things. Okay, for England, as Rome grows, Rome is going to go through Gaul, that'll be France. Rome's going to continue to go. Caesar's the one pushing to the north in the last days of the Roman Republic, all the way, okay, to Britain, which will be England. The Anglo-Saxons there will rule after Rome falls until in 1066, William the Conqueror, the Duke of Normandy, comes, wins the Battle of Hastings, and sets up the rule of the Norman kings in England. Back in France, France has been growing and uniting. King Clovis, he dies in 511 AD after the fall of Rome. He is going to unite some of the Franks. He converts to Christianity. Charlemagne builds the Holy Roman Empire. France is being united. England is growing as well. They're developing common law, developing parliament, just as France is developing the estate system. And both of these nations are coming to heads, and it all has to do with that 1066 Norman invasion. When that takes place, the land, Normandy area, does that belong to England? Does that belong to France? Both sides are going to argue, and they're going to continue to fight over that. The big change-up happens during the Crusades. Now, they work together to go fight Islam in the Crusades, but during the Third Crusade, Richard I is the king. Richard the Lion-Hearted is his name. He goes to fight in the Crusade. France sends Philip II to go fight, but after the first battle, Philip II leaves. He goes back to try to gain more land for France while the righteous king Richard is fighting Saladin in the Holy Land. What happens is Philip II defeats Richard's brother. This is King John. He's bad King John of Robin Hood. This is John Lackland, or John Softsword. He's unable to win a battle. He takes away the rights of the people. He loses the land in France, and he also oppresses the people so much they force him to sign the Magna Carta. That's in 1215. The Magna Carta is kind of like the first Bill of Rights in history. Now, both sides are going to, as both sides rise in power, the two big dogs, the two strongest nations in Europe, in the Middle Ages is England and France. And they're going to go to war 1337 to 1453. It's 116 years, called the Hundred Years' War. In this war, you have a lot of colorful and famous figures. England starts by winning the war. They've got longbows, which are very effective. They have dynamic leadership with Edward and his son, the Black Prince, and they win at Crécy and Poitiers. They win at the Battle of Agincourt in 1415. This is Henry V defeats the French army when he's outnumbered, as those French soldiers literally get stuck in the mud on that rainy day. Now, France comes back, though, and wins the war. Joan of Arc, the peasant girl, talks about the vision that she sees from God, and they develop cannons and win at Orleans and go on to win the 100 Years' War. Now, after the Middle Ages, that's the end of the Hundred Years' War is the end of the Middle Ages, 1453. The ideas of the Middle Ages have died in the war. Chivalry is dead now with longbows and cannons, and the church has less power after the plague has ran its course and the Crusades weren't as strong. Feudalism has fallen apart and been replaced by nationalism of supporting either England or France instead of your small feudal kingdom. And as we move on to the next era of history, England and France are going to butt heads again, in terms of the Reformation. England turns Protestant, and France remains Catholic for the majority, and that's going to cause some tension. Henry VIII is the one who establishes the Church of England. Queen Elizabeth sets it up. Then they're going to continue to battle it out as the exploration begins. In 1453, when Constantinople falls that same year, there's a need for a new trade route to get the spices of the East. European nations are going to explore. It started by Portugal and Spain. They really explore at the first, and Spain, they establish quite the stronghold in the New World, and France and England are both late to the game. They're going to try to play catch up and establish colonies in the New World, and guess what? They're in the same territory. New France is in this area. The 13 American colonies are established here. That tension of whose land begins to what, belongs to who, leads to the 7 Years' War. A 7 Years' War starts, it's in the mid-1700s, it ends in 1763. Both nations there, as they fight it out, Spain joins France, but it's not enough to win. So England goes ahead, Great Britain at this point now, wins that 7 Years' War. When they do, Britain is kind of leaning towards world dominance at this point. They win the 7 Years' War. They have the strongest navy. They're going to continue to battle France as other changes happen. During the American Revolution, France helps the Americans to fight against Britain. When Napoleon takes over in France, Britain, of course, is going to fight Napoleon. The Duke of Wellington is going to work on there. Throughout history, both of these nations will be rivals in the imperialistic era, all the way until the Entente Cordiale, all the way up until World War I, where both of these nations decide to work together to stop the new threat, which they see as the newly formed German Empire. Okay, keep these things in mind, as England and France are generally allies all the way up, or generally enemies, and don't become allies all the way up until the First World War. Thank you.